How would the king of gods feel if he was tricked? And tricked in such a way that humans became more powerful than he wanted them to be. He'd be furious. And that's exactly what happened when Prometheus tricked Zeus. It's one of the most amazing stories in Greek mythology. And I'm going to tell this entire story to you in just a couple of seconds. So stay with me. Don't go anywhere. The Titans and the gods were battling each other. The Titans were the giants that were there before the gods. But the gods with their king Zeus battled them. And two Titans shifted over to the side of the gods in the battle. And they helped the gods defeat the other Titans, who were then sent to Tartarus, hell. These two Titans were Prometheus and Epimetheus. Prometheus means foresight, Epimetheus means hindsight. Prometheus was not known for his strength but for his sharpness and intelligence. And he also had a great love for mankind because it was he who had created the first man with clay. In Greek mythology, Prometheus was the one who created mankind. He took some clay, shaped it in the shape of a man like the gods, and let them live on earth. So Prometheus loved mankind. And it was at that time that Zeus and the gods and the Olympians considered humans to be inconsequential beings who were there only to pray to the gods and to live meek, unworthy lives. But Prometheus saw in them something greater. He saw potential of divine qualities, of being able to shape the future of the earth. So he wanted to help mankind. And he was not very happy with the way the gods treated human beings as inconsequential and not important and only there for praying to the gods. So he wanted to give mankind any benefit that he could. And while mankind was being created, his brother Epimetheus was giving traits of the gods to all creatures. And Epimetheus ended up giving traits to everything from creatures that could live under the water without breathing to creatures that could fly. So there was nothing left for mankind. So mankind was vulnerable, fragile, and did not have any divine godlike traits. Because of that, Prometheus wanted to give them some help. So at the time when Zeus and the gods were deciding how it is that mankind would give them offerings as a way of praying, Prometheus played a trick on Zeus. At that time, Zeus and the gods decided that mankind needed to make frequent sacrifices to them. There were many beasts on the earth at that time, but it was very difficult for mankind to kill these beasts and get food for themselves. And Zeus wanted mankind to make sacrifices and give most of the meat to the gods and just the useless parts left behind for humans. But Prometheus did not want that. So Prometheus told Zeus that he will be the one who will decide how the sacrifice will be done and what parts will be given to the gods and what will be left behind with the humans. So Prometheus took a bull and cut it up and created two piles. One had the best meat of the bulls, but he covered it with the internal organs of the bull inside the stomach, the offal and all. So that from the top it looked terrible. And the other part had only the bones of the bull. And he covered it with fat from inside the bull. So it looked juicy, but it actually had nothing underneath. Then he went to Zeus and said, look, these are the two parts that I have taught mankind to divide any animal into. Now you decide which one should go to you and which one should stay with humans. So Zeus said, he looked at both and he looked at the offal and the stomach and all that. He didn't like that. So he said, obviously it's this one, the one with the glistening, tasty fat on top. So Zeus agreed, Prometheus agreed, and that's how it was. And Zeus took this offering back to Mount Olympus to show the gods. And when he removed the fat, he saw that there was only bones underneath and he got very angry. He realized that Prometheus had cheated him. And because of that anger, he told the gods and announced that humans will not have fire anymore. They will live without fire, which was terrible because without fire, they could not keep themselves warm. They could not create anything. They could not make weapons. They could not build fires. And in fact, civilization would not start. When this was done, all of mankind was thrown into darkness. It was a major problem for mankind. Their survival was at stake. Prometheus then decided that he had to help mankind. He had to give them fire somehow. So at night, he quietly went up to the top of Mount Olympus, to the workshop of the god of blacksmithing and fire, Hephaestus. And there, in the big forge where there was a huge fire, he took a spark from that fire and hid it inside a reed and carried it to earth. And there he gave it to mankind and told them how to use it. And he taught them a lot of other things, how to create civilization, astronomy, mathematics, a lot of things. So because of that, slowly mankind started to build cities and civilization started to rise. And kings came into being. Some of the kings thought they were greater than the gods. Slowly and steadily, mankind began to change earth. They spread all over the earth. And Zeus noticed this and he realized how Prometheus had cheated him again. So he was very angry with Prometheus. He captured Prometheus and told Hephaestus that you tie him on a lonely cliff of the Caucasus Mountains and tie him with unbreakable bonds to a rock face. And every day, an eagle, which is a bird that represents Zeus, a giant eagle would come and tear open Prometheus's stomach and eat his liver, and it will fly away. But Prometheus, being a titan, at night the liver would grow back, and again the next day, the eagle would come and tear open his stomach, eat his liver, and fly away. And this would happen for all time. This was a terrible punishment. And Prometheus, even though it was a torturous punishment for him, never regretted giving fire to mankind and helping them build civilizations and change earth. This went on, and in fact, Zeus was so angry that he did more. He actually created a woman and he sent down to mankind Pandora. And Pandora had a box that was filled with evil. And Pandora opened the box and all the evil things flew out to create more trouble for humans. But one thing was left behind, and that was hope. So hope is always there with us. The punishment of Prometheus was eternal, but he was actually freed later on by none other than Hercules, and that too with permission from Zeus. And why will Zeus be so kind suddenly? Well, he wasn't. He actually needed some information that was very important for him that only Prometheus had. So he told Hercules that when he went for one of his 12 tasks, he should kill the eagle and break the bonds of Prometheus and free him. The information that Prometheus gave Zeus was that Zeus was infatuated with the goddess Thetis. But if he married Thetis, Thetis would have 2 children and one of them would be greater than Zeus. So Zeus immediately decided not to marry Thetis and in fact got Thetis married to a mortal, so that there was no chance of her having 2 children and one of them becoming greater than Zeus. And this story of Prometheus actually has so many undertones in it. It talks about the fact that when you have to create change, you have to face a lot of resistance. You might face torture, you might face great challenges, and that is how change comes about. And we have actually seen it. Anytime anyone has tried to create change in society for the betterment of society, for transformation, he or she has always had to face opposition. There have been massive challenges. They had to actually pay with their lives. They had to endure lots. That is one lesson that we can learn from the story of Prometheus and the gift of fire. That if you want to create great change, you have to be ready to face big challenges. You have to be ready to take on a lot of suffering, and only then great change will happen. And another underlying thought is that you have to have great courage to defy authority and bring about change. This was a story of Prometheus and how he gave the gift of fire to mankind. We will be bringing you lots and more stories like this from cultures all over the world, from different mythologies. So stay with us, keep coming back to this channel. Do like, share and subscribe because that helps us a lot. See you next time.